Hey, fellow problem solvers, Colfax Math here. Today what we're going to do is a math skills review for the SIFT exam. You could download the whole app, get a lot more information, and get a full practice final exam at this webpage right here, asvab-tutoring.com. And you could do that either at the App Store or the Google Play Store. Let's get started. Problem number 1. There are 8 teams. I want to circle and highlight key numbers. 8 teams in a dodgeball tournament. How many different ways can finish first, second, and third? So that means I have 3 slots right here. How many teams could finish in this first spot? Well, there is a total of 8, so any one of them could finish first. After one of them finishes in first place, no matter which one it is, now there's only 7 teams left to finish in second place. And then there's only 6 teams that could finish in third place. So I have to do 8 and then 7 and then 6 and means multiply and then means multiply. So I have to do 8 times 7, 56. And then 56 times 6, 36. Carry the 3, 30 plus 3, 33. So the number of ways that 8 teams could finish first, second, and third is 336 ways. Okay, problem number 2, a 45-foot tall electric pole. 45-foot tall electric pole casts a shadow 15 feet long. How long is the shadow cast by a nearby 72-foot pole? So I have another pole that's 72 foot long. How long? When you don't know what it is, that means that's x. So these are going to form similar triangles. Ratio of sides are going to be the same. So 45 is to 15. Pole to shadow is equal to pole to shadow, is equal to 72 over x. All right, so I have the pole to the shadow, pole to the shadow. I could cross multiply right now. That times that is equal to 45x. I think I'm going to reduce my fraction first because it's a no calculator test. So 45 is divisible by 15. 15 will go in here 3 times. 15 will go in here once. Now when I cross multiply, it's going to be a lot easier. 3x is equal to 72 times 1. Getting x by itself, I have to divide both sides by 3. These 3's cancel, it gives me x by itself. 72 divided by 3, I think I do that in my head. It goes in there 60. Actually, I think I'll just divide it out. 72 divided by 3. 3 goes into 7 twice, giving me 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down the 2. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So if this is 72 feet, this is 24 feet. I can see that proportion as well. This is 3 times as long as the shadow. This is 3 times as long as the shadow. So the key idea here is that similar triangles have the same angles and also the same ratio of sides. So I set those ratio of sides equal to each other. Problem 3, how many 2 1/4 inch wide boards are needed to cover a floor 15 feet and inches wide? So I got a couple of things going on here. My board width is 2 1/4 inches, and my feet, the actual floor is in feet. So I got to convert to have 1 unit. First thing I'm going to do is take that 15 feet. 1 tick mark is for feet. I know that 12 inches equals 1 foot. 15 times 10 is 150. 15 times 2 is 30. So if I multiply 15 by 12, it's going to give me 180 inches. 180 inches. My feet will cancel, and that'll give me inches. So I have 180 inches. And then I know that in that 180 inches, each board is 2 1/4 inches. So I have to do 180 divided by 2 1/4 inches. So step 1 was get everything in the same units. Now I'm going to turn this mixed number into an improper fraction. The way I do that is I go 2 times 4, 2 times the denominator 8, plus the top number 9. So I have 180 divided by 9/4. 9/4 and 2 1/4 are the same thing. So step 1, same unit. Step 2, change that mixed number to improper fraction. Now step 3, to divide. The way I divide fractions is I multiply by the reciprocal. So that's the rule. I turn that into multiplication and I flip that over. So that becomes 4/9. And then just like all these no calculator problems, it usually works out to be kind of an easy number. So I have 180 times 4/9. I can multiply across the top, across the bottom, then divide, or I could cancel first. So I'm going to cancel first. I know that 9 goes into 9 1 times. 9 goes into 180 20 times. So now I have 20 times 4, or 80 inches. No, sorry, no inches. How many times does that go into that? So it's going to go in there 80 times. So I need to buy 80 boards. 80 times 2 1/4 is equal to 15 feet. Problem number 4, a lot of words here, a lot of stuff to decode. 2 automobiles start at the same place and travel along the same path. The first is going 40 miles per hour, and the second is going 55 miles per hour. What is the distance? That's an important word here because I'm looking for miles between the 2 automobiles at the end of 5 hours. Got my colors over it. So I got this one car going here, 40 miles per hour. I have the second car right here going 55 miles per hour. And then they're going to travel for 5 hours. One quick way to do that is the difference between 40 and 55 is 15. So this one is making up 15 miles in an hour for 5 hours. So the answer is going to be 5 times 15, or 75 miles. Another way to do it is say, how many miles does this one go in 5 hours? Well, if it's 40 miles per hour, I can multiply that by 5 hours. Hours will cancel, it'll give me 200 miles. Do the same thing here. This one's also going for 5 hours. And this is miles per hour. Hours cancel. That gives me 275. So at the end of 5 hours, this one has gone 270 miles. This one 200 miles. The difference, 75 miles. Problem number 5. If 6 is 24% of a number, I don't know what that number is, so I'm calling that number X. What is 40% of that same number? So I got to figure out what X is and then find 40% of X. It's actually kind of a tricky problem. If 6 is equal sign. So I know something is going to be equal to 6. 24% of a number. So what I'm saying is 24% of a number is 6. First thing I'm going to do is take this percent, convert it into a decimal. I'll go over 1, 2. So I'm saying 24% is 0.24 of a number. I don't know what that number is, so I'm going to call it X. Is 6. So if 6 is 24% of a number. So here's my first equation. That's how I'm going to get X. Then once I have that X, I'm going to find 40% of that X to find my solution. So I got 0.24 times X equals 6. I got to get that X, that unknown by itself. I divide both sides by 0.24. These are going to cancel. Now I have X by itself. If I do that to the left side, I have to do it to the right side. So I have 6 divided by 0.24. I don't think there's an easy way to do that. I think I'm just going to have to do it this way. 6 is divided by 0.24. 6 is the same thing as 6.0. I'm going to move this decimal over 1, 2. So I move this decimal over 1, 2. There are no values there. So zeros go there. So 24 goes into 600. So 24 goes into 60 twice. That's going to give me 48. 60 minus 48 is 12. Bring down the 0, 120. 24 times 5 is 120. So if 6 is 24% of a number, that number is 25. What is 40% of that same number? So what is 40% of 25? So that's the second part of the problem. So I have to do 25 times 40%. I'm going to move this over 1, 2. So 25 times 0.4, that's that 40%, is 20. Carry the 2, 8, 9, 10. I got a decimal place one place over, so I moved the decimal place over. My answer is 10. It's a pretty tricky problem. First part of the trick is really decoding that whole sentence and realizing it's two separate problems. So you got to find the number x by this equation and then 40% of that number to find your solution 10. Problem number 6, a stereo can be purchased on the installment plan with a down payment of 35 bucks. So that's a flat fee. We don't want to forget that. So put 35 here. Make sure we add that in. And then 15 payments of $22.50. There is no sales tax. I wonder where that would be. How much will the stereo cost if purchased on the installment plan? So I got $22.50 times 15, right? I got 15 payments of that amount. So I'm going to multiply those together. And then I got my down payment of 35. So multiply those, add that, and that's our number. Got 2 decimal places over here, so I got to remember that. 5 times 0, 5 times 5, 25, carry the 2. 5 times 2, 10, plus 2, 12, carry the 1. 5 times 2, 10, plus 1, 11. My placeholder, 1 times 0, 1 times 5. Uh-oh, pen's fading out. Hopefully the stereo works better than this. 1 times 0, 1 times 5, 1 times 2, 1 times 2. Then I'm going to add those together to get 0, 5, 7, 3, 3. Decimal places over 1, 2. So I go over 1, 2, and I end up with $337.50. That seems about right, right? 15 times that, maybe 300 bucks plus that. So there's our total amount right there. Problem number 7, a gas can is filled at 320 cubic inches per minute, so that's a rate. The can is 10 inches long. One thing I am noticing, I got to double check units. So it's 10 by 88 inches wide by 12 inches tall. So then it's 12 inches this way, right? So that's going to be the volume. It's all inches, and we're filling up in cubic inches, so our units are good. So we've got to figure out how many cubic inches this is, and then it's going to go 320 inches into this every minute, and then how many minutes will it take? So let's find the volume of this first. I think I'm going to do 88 times 12 first. I could do 10 times 88. That'll be easy, right? I just add the 0. So I'm going to do that one first and then multiply it by 10. So I have 88 times 12. 2 times 8, 16. Carry the 1, 16, 17. Placeholder, 1 times 8. 1 times 8. So that gives me 6, 15. Carry the 1, 10. So 88 times 12 is 1056. And then I got to multiply by that 10 to get that number right there, 10,560. And then 320 goes into that every minute. How many minutes will that take? So now I got to do 320 into this. So I have 320 into the total volume of the gas can, 105.60. Actually, I could drop a 0 on both sides. That's going to be a little bit easier. So if I drop a 0 there and there, I'll have to carry less. So then I'm going to do 32 and a 105. 32 times 3 is 96. 105 minus 96 is 9. Bring down the 6. 32 and a 96 is 3 as well. So if my gas can has this much volume and I fill it 320 inches per minute, in 33 minutes, it will be full. Pretty tricky, again, kind of a two-step problem. Find the volume first and then use that rate to figure out how long it'll take to fill. All right, problem 8. If you're still with me, good job. I know it gets tiring doing these practice tests, but the more you practice, the better you're going to do. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing and sharing the channel with anybody who might be interested in taking a standardized math exam and improving that score. All right, the total earnings of 3 newspaper carriers is $7,400. Of the 3 carriers, individual ratio is 24, 21, 15. What were the earnings of the individual who earned the least? So we want to figure out how much did that person at the ratio of 15, what they earned. So I got to do the full sum of theirs of that 7,400. Then I'm going to come up with how much each little share earns. And then I'm going to take that value and multiply it by 15. So it's a little complex. I got 4 plus 1, 5, and 5 is 10. Carry the 1, 3 plus 2, 5, 6. So the total of those 3 ratios is 60. And then I got to do 60 in a 7,400, right? So each little part is one little part is 60, right? So I'm going to do 60 in a 7,400. 60 goes in 74 one time. 74 minus 60 is 14. Bring down the 0. 60 and 140 twice. That gives me 120. Bring down the 0. 60 and a 200 is 3. 180. It's going to give me 20 left over. So I got 123 with a remainder of 20. 20 over 60 is a fraction. That fraction, 20 over 60, can be reduced to 2 over 6, right? I can knock those zeros out. 2 over 6 is 1/3. So that could get reduced to 1/3. And then 1/3, I could leave it as a fraction or convert that into dollars and cents because I am talking about dollar amounts. 1/3 is the equivalent of 33 cents. So each little share makes $123.33, right? So this is the sum of all the shares. The person making the most makes 24 123s, the medium person, and then the low person, what we're looking for, makes 15 of those. So I got to take this 123.33 times 15. 15 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 15 plus 1, 16. Carry the 1, 16. Carry the 1, 5 times 2, 10 plus 1, 11. Carry the 1, 5 times 1, 5 plus 1, 6. Here's my placeholder. Then my 1 times 3, 1 times 3, 1 times 3, 1 times 2, 1 times 1. I add these together to get 5, 9, 9, 4, 8, and 1. I have 1, 2, decimal places over, 1, 2. See if this even makes some sense. The 3 people together make $7,000, 7,400. The least earner at a ratio of 15 to 21 to 24 makes $1,849.95. Okay, problem number 9. The cost of a movie ticket is $13.50. It is on sale for 60% off. What is the cost of the ticket now? So 60% from 100%. is 40%. So the cost is going to be, right now, it's 40% of $13.50. I'm going to take, I think of this as an arrow, and I move the decimal over 1, 2 to get 0.4. So I'm going to take $13.50 times 40% right there, and that's going to be the cost of the ticket. I could do the 60% and then subtract it from there, or I could just go straight to there. These are all zeros. Placeholder, 4 times 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Carry the 2, 4 times 3, 12, 13, 14. Carry the 1, 4 and 1 is 5. Add that together, 0, 0, 0. Adding down 4, 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places over. So I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and I get $5.40. Just ballpark, I'm expecting it to be less than half of that, right? It's 60% off, so less than half of that. It's a quick check, $5.40 is your correct answer right there. That's the deal for a movie today. All right, problem number 10, staying strong. Let's keep going. If 2 cans of soup are 32 cents, so 2 cans are 32 cents. So of these 2 cans, they are 32 divided by 2, they are 16 each. And a dozen cans, 12 cans, are $1.68. That's a deal. What is the savings per can purchased? So I got to figure out the difference between this scenario and that scenario. So I'm going to do it price per can. So I'm going to take $1.68, divide that by 12. 12 goes into 16 one time. 6 minus 2 is 4. Bring down the 8. 12 goes into 48 4 times. Decimal place goes straight up here. First case scenario, 2 cans for 32 cents, 16 cents per can, or 14 cents per can. In the second scenario, what is the savings per can? So the difference between 16 and 14 is 2 cents per can. Number 11, on Monday, the water was shut off 3 times for a quarter hour, 2/3 of an hour, and 13/4 of an hour. Kind of funny way to refer to that. Probably was supposed to be 1 3/4, but we'll call it 13/4. Never mind the fact your water got shut off 3 times. I had an apartment like that once. All right, so I got to add all 3 of these up to get the total time the water was shut off. So I got to add those 3 together. So I have 1/4 plus 2/3 plus 13/4. The way I add or subtract fractions is common denominator. The number that 4 and 3 are going to go into is 12. So to get this to be a 12, I have to multiply it by a 3. But I can't multiply by a 3 because it's going to change the value of it. So I multiply it by a 3 over 3. This thing is equal to 1. That gives me 3/12, an equivalent fraction of 1/4, but with that denominator of 12. This one, I got to multiply by 4 over 4 to get that 12. So that's going to give me 8/12. And then this last fraction, I multiply by 3 over 3 to get 39/12. Now that I have that common denominator, I add across the top and keep that common denominator. 3 plus 8, 11. 39 and 11 is 50 over that common denominator of 12. We are talking about time, so it'd be weird to call it 50/12 of an hour. So I'm going to do 12 into 50. 12 goes into 50 4 times. 4 times 12 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. Bring down a 0 after a decimal place. 12 goes into 20 1 time. 20 minus 12 is 8. Bring down the 0 6 times. So about 6 would be 72. I'm going to have a remainder. But if my water got shut off for about a quarter hour, 2/3 of an hour, and then whatever that is, like 3 hours and some, the total time my water is off is 4.16 hours. Rent's still due. All right, next problem. Problem number 12. What is the reduced price of a $60 raincoat after it is discounted 10%, a new price, and then 10%, a new price, and then 30%? So it's a little bit of a trick. You certainly can't just take 50%, the sum of those percents, and take it off of here, because the 10% is off of the new price. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 100 minus 10 to get 90. So 10% off. I'm going to take that $60, multiply it by 90 to get $54. Or 10% off would be $6 off. 60 minus 6 gives me the same 54. Then I got another 10% off of this price. So again, I'm going to do 100% minus 10% to get 90%. Multiply this by that 90% to get the new price. 36, carry the 3. 45 plus 3, 48. Decimal place is one place over to get 48.60. So first I get 10% off to get $54. Another 10% off to get $48.60. Now I get another 30% off. So I'm going to multiply it by 1 minus 30 by the 70%. So I'm going to take that 48.60 and multiply it by 0.7 or 70%. 7 times 6, 42. Carry the 4, 56 plus 4, 60. Carry the 6, 28 plus 6, 34. Uh-oh, pen's giving me trouble here. What was that? 42, carry the 4, 56, 60. There we go. Decimal place is over 1, over 2. So I go over 1, 2, and I get $34.02. See if that's a reasonable answer, right? If it was 50% off the whole thing, it would be 30 bucks, but it's not. So once I subtract 10 and then 10 and then 30, I end at $34.02. Problem number 13, how long will it take to earn $600 in interest if you invest $2,500 at 6%? Well, let's change this right off the bat from 6% to 0.06. Think of this thing as an arrow shooting it over 1, 2 places, 0.06. We need to know this equation. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. I think of it as PERT, but for a test, you need to know that, but this is actually one of the most important equations for financial well-being as well, so it's a good thing to know. So this is your interest. This is how much money you got to start with. This is your rate, and this is number of years if it gets compounded annually. How long will it take to earn 600 in interest? So that 600 goes right in there. How long will it take to make 600 in interest if my principal is 2,500? So I take that 2,500, then I'm going to multiply it by my rate, 0.06, and then I'm going to multiply it by my time, t. I don't know what that is, and that's the question. How long will it take? So how many years to make $600 in interest at 6% on 2,500? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these two together. 2,500 times 0.06 is 0, 0, 30. Carry the 3, 12 plus 3, 15. Placeholder, these are all zeros. Add that up. And then I got my decimal place over 1, 2. So I go over 1, 2, and I get 150. So this right here is 150. So I have 600 is equal to 150 t, time. I gotta get time by itself. So divide both sides by 150. Those cancel, gives me t by itself. 600 divided by 150, well, I can knock these zeros off. 60 divided by 15 is 4. So it's going to take me 4 years at 6% with $2,500 to make 600 in interest. Fair bit of interest, but it's good interest rate. Problem number 14, aviation gasoline weighs 45 pounds per cubic feet and 6 pounds per gallon. How many gallons are there in 10 cubic feet of fuel? Well, I have 45 pounds per cubic foot, right? 45 pounds per cubic foot, and I have 10 cubic feet. So let's just figure out how many pounds I have first. So I'm going to multiply these together because I have 10 cubic feet. My units are going to cancel, and I can see that's going to give me pounds. So 45 pounds per cubic foot times 10 cubic feet, the amount I have, is going to give me 450 pounds of fuel. And then now that I know that I have 6 pounds per gallon, and I have the total pounds of the fuel I have, how many gallons are there in 10 cubic feet? So I'm going to have to do 450 pounds divided by 6 pounds. Come on, pen. Divided by 6 pounds, and that's going to give me gallons, right? But 6 pounds per gallon. So I do 450 divided by 6. 6 goes into 450. 6 goes into 45 7 times to give me 42. 45 minus 42 is 3. Bring down the 0. 6 goes into 35 times. So I'm going to end up with 75 gallons of fuel, and that's what I've been asked to figure out. 75 gallons times 6 pounds per gallon is going to give me that 450 pounds. It's kind of a complex one because we've got so many units here. Correct answer is the 75. All right, last problem, problem number 15. A plumber charges $45 for a service call plus $25 per hour. So $25 per hour plus a flat fee of $45. He works at a customer's house. If he conducts a service call and takes 3 hours, what will be the customer's bill? So we got $3 hours at $25 per hour. 25 times 3 is 75. So the hourly rate times 3 gives me 75 plus the flat fee of 45. Add those two together, 10, carry the 1, 12. He gets paid $120 for that service call. All right, there it is, 15 practice problems. Hopefully they helped you, gave you some idea, refreshed some of those math ideas. I say it a lot, but the more you practice, the better you're going to get. So you can get more practice right here at this app right here. Thank you for watching. I know it was a long video, but good job sticking with it if you're here.